Welcome to BioQuick. Today in this session, let us move on to the complex plant tissues. The examples are xylem and phloem. Let us move on to the chart. Complex tissues. Why they are called so? They are made up of more than one type of cell which will work as a unit. These are xylem and phloem. Let us differentiate them. Xylem carries water from roots to the different body parts. At the same time, phloem, we carry food from leaves to the growing and the storage organs. Xylem is mainly composed of dead cells and phloem is mainly composed of living cells. Xylem is thick-walled with lignin deposits in its cell wall, whereas phloem is thin-walled, mostly cellulosic. Xylem is meant for unidirectional transport of water, whereas phloem is meant for multidirectional movement from the leaves to different organs. Xylem is mostly found in the center of the vascular bundle, whereas phloem is found in the periphery of the vascular bundle. Xylem is mainly involved in the transport of water and active transport of minerals, whereas phloem is involved in the active transport of sugars and metabolites. Xylem, in addition to the function of transport, it is also providing mechanical strength to the plants. Phloem has no mechanical function for the plants. Primary xylem is comprising of two types of xylem, protoxylem, which is firstly formed, and metaxylem, which is formed later. Similarly, phloem is of two types, protophlloem, which is first formed, and metaphlloem, which is formed later. The xylem is composed of four different kind of elements: tracheids, vessels, xylem fibers, and xylem parenchyma. Whereas phloem is also composed of the same four different kind of elements: seed tube elements, companion cells, phloem fibers, and phloem parenchyma. Moving on to the components of xylem, let us differentiate through the chart. Xylem, the components are tracheids, vessels, xylem fibers, and xylem parenchyma. These are differing in their shape. Tracheids are elongated tube-like cells with tapering ends. Vessels, they are long cylindrical tube-like structures with many interconnected cells. They are called as vessel members with a large cavity at the center. Xylem fibers, they are elongated cells with obliterated central lumen, and xylem parenchyma is thin-walled cells. Tracheids, vessels, and xylem fibers, they are highly thickened and lignified walls, whereas xylem parenchyma has cellulosic walls. Moving on to the cells, they are dead or live. The only live member of xylem is xylem parenchyma, and all others are dead cells without protoplasm. Moving on to their functions, tracheids and vessels are mainly involved in water transport, and xylem fibers are involved in providing mechanical support, that is otherwise called as wood fibers also. And xylem parenchyma has various functions like storage of starch, fat, tannins, etc. And gray parenchymatic cells are involved in the radial conduction of water. And one point to be noted is that the vessels is a characteristic feature of angiosperms, and gymnosperms lacks xylem vessels. So this is an overview of the xylem and its components and their comparative differences. Likewise, let us move on to phloem, comprising of four elements: seed tube elements, companion cells, phloem or bast fibers, and phloem parenchyma. Seed tube elements, their shape, they are long tube-like structures with end walls perforated. They are called as sieve plates. Companion cells, they are specialized parenchymatous cells. Phloem or bast fibers, they are sclerenchymatous cells with pointed needle-like apices. And phloem parenchyma is elongated tapering cylindrical cells. Seed tube elements, they have a rigid cell wall. Companion cells, they have a thin wall. When you're moving on to phloem or bast fibers, you can see the thin, thick-walled with cellulose or hemicellulose and lignin in their cell wall, whereas flowing parenchyma, they have thin, flexible cellulosic cell wall. Majority of the phloem components are live, except the phloem or the bast fibers. C-tube elements are live cells on maturation, possess peripheral cytoplasm and large vacuole, but they will lack nucleus. Companion cells are also live. They are associated and controls the function of the C-tube elements. Moving on to the bast fibers, they will, on maturity, they will lose their protoplasm and they will become dead cells. And phloem parenchyma, they are live cells with dense cytoplasm and nucleus. C-tube elements and companion cells, they are interconnected by pit fields or they are the plasmodesmata. Now, moving on to the function. Conduction of food materials, that is a function of C-tube elements. Companion cells, they will help in maintaining the pressure gradient in C-tube elements. So these together will operate in the transport of food materials. Phloem or the bast fibers, they are mainly meant for the support and mechanical function. And the phloem fibers, which are commercially known, that is jute, flax, hemp, etc. And phloem parenchyma, that will store food materials, resins, latex, mucilage, etc. The point to be noted here is gymnosperms have albuminous cells and sieve cells. They lack sieve tubes and companion cells. So the presence of sieve tube elements and companion cells, they are the features of angiosperms. So that is all about the phloem, its components and the differences. Thank you.